Hey everyone, and welcome to the third design team layout for March. So here I am, I've used that stencil again and I've just put it on some white paper without any colour, traced it with my Sharpie pen, and then I've cut them all out. I did spare you all that boringness, but if you do want to see a little bit of the process of how I trace them and whatnot, then check out last week's video with the art journal process. I did the same kind of thing. I traced them, but then I coloured them in. And today I decided I wanted to cut them all out and then I would dip them in the paint like last week. But I wanted to make some pen holders to have as the feature on my layout. I was going to say my desk. I guess it's kind of the idea. Pen holders usually go on desks. So I've just used some pattern paper. It took me a little while to decide which one I wanted as a background. And then I've cut this pink one here as my pen holder, and I'm just using the red Colour Blast spray mist that we got, and then just giving it like a border outline on the edge of the paper. Just wanted to give it a bit of a shadow but also make it pop off the page like it was a 3D product. And then I've used my black Stays On ink just to border the edge with the black so that it looked deeper. And I didn't like the look of it. The red was wrong. It needed to be a bit of a pink. Probably could have pulled a pink spray out of my stash, but I decided I just wanted a black edge, and instead, so I cut it down, and this size works much better anyway, and just use the Stays On ink to edge all that on that pen holder. So you can see here I'm just having a little play with it. I'm sorting out the color, not the colors, the items, so all the paintbrushes, those little calligraphy type pens. I've got some pencils and then some unmarked kind of plain pencils in different heights. And that's what you get when you trace all the things on the stencil other than the title that is on that Kaisercraft stencil. So I'm just going to cut 3 more. It's a nice number but also fits really well onto the layout. It's a nice number for design wise. It's always 3 is always a good number. But I decided to make them each a little bit smaller than each other. That way when I fill them up with the pens or pencils and whatever, I didn't want them all lost amongst each other. So now I decided I was going to do them all pink together. Then I thought, no, actually it would look better if they were different patterns. So I turned one over and was finding the green. I love these floral pattern papers, so I decided I could use one of these and that it would look really nice on there because the blue and the pink is predominant on there, and it's a pen holder so it can have a bit of pattern to it. And then I'm just going to decide on the third one by turning that pink paper over. I have that green leaf kind of a pattern, so they go really nice together. I think that's a good choice of the 3 patterns for the pen holders, and I'm just going to outline them with the Stays On ink so that they have that depth to them, so they look like a 3D object on top rather than it just blending into the background behind as such. So here I am. That's going to work for me now, and I'm just having a little play to make sure that if I put a few things in, how it looks in terms of the height of the products and whatnot, and how much I can fit in them. But of course this is not how the placement's going to go. I do want to add a few little sitting there like a pile of pens that you would have on your desk, or like I have on my desk when I finish a project and I'm like, oh, used all the things and I've just left them next to me. And I love this pattern paper, this 12 by 12 one, and I really thought I wanted to use it, but it's just too busy for this project. So pulling out my paints, pulling out a few more colours than I did for the last project, and this is where I'm going to dip those paintbrushes in and make them look like they are being used to paint all the things and get nice and creative and have fun. Again, I'm going to use that little piece of vellum that I used for the last one. I made these all that first Friday and Saturday night that I got my kit. I was really inspired to get all my projects done at the beginning of the month, and that way I can have a bit more of a play with some other projects that I can share with you throughout the month as well. So you can see here I'm just spreading the paint on, dipping it in, sometimes moving it with my finger, but I just wanted to make it look like you have dipped it in and you're just painting away and having fun. With the pencils, like last time, I'm just dipping in the little tips so that it looks like the lead of the pencil is coloured, rather than it all. You could use the paint to, or even a texture to colour the pencil, because often when you've got coloured pencils, they are coloured all the way and just have that brown bit, but I didn't want to overwhelm the page with colour. It's already going to be busy enough. And look, I'm trying that 12 by 12 paper again. I'm telling you, I really love it, and because of the theme of the layout in terms of being creative and whatnot, I really wanted to use it, but it's not the right one. So, and I didn't want to cover it up with gesso like my first project for March. So this blue one works really well, and it's what needed to be. I just couldn't come to terms with it. I really love this blue, but I really like that other one more. I'm gonna have to use it for my next project. So just getting out my foam tape, cutting it in half because I don't have thin foam tape. And of course I don't have non-stick scissors, so it looks lovely. It's a little bit annoying, but get there in the end. And I'm just going to outline the edges of these pen holders just so that they're raised up and that I can fit the paintbrushes and pens and pencils in the pen holder, but also the 3D-ness makes it pop off the page and have that shadow to it as well. So this one and the third one, I'm only going to do two sides, because obviously if I did the top I wouldn't be able to fit anything in, but also I don't need to do the left hand side because that is resting on the previous pen holder, which has already got foam tape behind it. So I'll just use normal double-sided tape there to join it so that it doesn't flap away, because, you know, once it's in an album, I'm sure all the wind is making everything flap away and making an issue, but you know what it's like when you're like, yep, stick it all down, get it going, make sure it's all done. So just had a little tiny bit, so I just popped it in there, left over, and here I'm just using double-sided tape. So already you can see it looks really cute just with these pen holders, and you don't even need much more. So the photo I've got, I just cut off this Marini strip, the photo I've got is the photo I took of my Razcog and my box and my tote, where I was getting ready to go away to the Flutterby retreat last year in July, I'm pretty sure. It was cold anyway. And I just thought that would go so well with these pen holders and the paintbrushes and pens and everything, because I obviously packed lots of mixed media stuff, and then it's just being creative and having all that time to have fun with my supplies. So I think the page, the design, the elements behind the page go really well with this photo. I did want to put one of me creating, but I don't think, we were just having too much fun. Amy and I went, and I'm sure everyone else that was there had lots of fun as well. I think we were just having too much fun. We didn't really take many of the photos of us actually creating or anything like that. I actually need to go through and print those photos, because I've only got two that I saved in the same spot as normal, but that's okay. I can fix that up later. I had this photo for what I needed it. So you can tell now I'm just layering my photo up, just adding some simple photo layers. So I'm using a Project Life card as a full border, and then I'm just using this one here to top the 3 top sides, and this one will be the 3 bottom sides. So it's nice to just change it up sometimes. You don't have to have them all straight, but you don't have to have them fully matted. I think I've maybe done it a couple of times. It's definitely not my go-to or my favourite to have all the matted layers the same around all 4 sides. I just cut that little piece off that freckled fawn packaging. You see me cutting that while I was rambling, and that's just a little pop of interest at the bottom of my photo. So just having a play with the layers. I don't want to add too much in terms of there's no ripped edges, there's no different textures, it's all pattern paper. But I just wanted to have it backed with some patterns just to make sure that it stuck out and was a focal image, a focal part of the layout itself. So here I just turned those 2 pages over and went, perfect colours, stick them on, and I was sick of double-sided tape at that time of night, so I just stapled them and then stuck them to the rest of the paper layers. as you do. So there we go. So I knew it needed a blue like background to go onto that pink pen holder, otherwise it would have blended into the pink pen holder. Now here's where I don't even wait for the paint to dry, and I just start sticking it in. Here's also where I put too many paintbrushes in the first one, but I guess it does represent me and my ability to have too much mixed media going on. I do actually have lots of paintbrushes, and I managed to buy another set on the weekend when I was at Officeworks because I just thought I needed them. And so yeah, I'm just being a bit careful because the paint is wet, like I said. I do not recommend doing it while the paint is wet, obvious reasons, but it was late at night and I don't like leaving a project unfinished. And normally if I had something to dry and I really wanted it to dry, I would let it dry and work on something else and come back. But if I came back to it another day, I would just be like horrified at the way it was going and whatnot, and wouldn't like it and wouldn't work. But it was so late at night that I didn't want to start another project, so I just went with it and was being careful. I do have a wipe there, and once again, late at night and being lazy, I ran out of wipes and didn't want to go up the other end of the house where it was dark and quiet because everyone else was in bed, so I just reused that wipe. The good thing that came from this though is I got little colours smudged on the page in a few places, and you'll see what I do. So you can already see that little bit of green up the top. You'll be able to see what I do soon. So now the paintbrushes look really good here. I should stop here, not worry about any more of the paintbrushes. I just, for some reason, because I cut them out, because I painted them, I just had to use them. I wasn't really thinking overly about how it looked in terms of too much is too much. But I am just working through it and having fun. I do like the end product, but I know that in stages while I was editing this, I was like, oh, I should have stopped there. So I do add some fun foam behind some of the paintbrushes and some of the pencils just to pop them up. And here I'm working on the pencils now into that green pen holder. And you watch this. This is where I should have stopped. Look how cute that pen holder is with just 3 pens in it. Or pencils. But of course, add some fun foam. Even here, that looks nice. Don't need any more. But nope, more goes on. So, and you know, it's not because it looks terrible with lots on there. It's just more design clutter, and I like it. But like I said, if you stop there, it wouldn't be a problem at all. So if you do scrap lift this, have a try with 1, waiting for your colour to dry. 2, more is less. Less is more. Less is more. That's the phrase. Sorry, even my son's laughing at me for stuffing that up. So you can see here, it looks really nice. Even still there, it's not too overwhelming with the pens, but I do end up putting some on the left-hand side, and that just clutters it up. Not in like, yeah, I don't know. It's not a totally bad way, but you know what it's like when sometimes you're like, probably could have taken 6 things off, but they're already glued down, already, done it. It's done. So some of them, a lot of them here, I've used some fun foam, some double-sided foam tape. But when I've used this wet glue here, some of them I've done like a fair amount of that glue and not smushed it down so the glue came out. So it's sort of working like when you see others use their hot glue gun and they pile it up so that it adds a bit of dimension. So here I go, oh, paintbrushes, why didn't I fix these up? So chucking them in because apparently I didn't have enough. But that's okay. Smudged a bit of paint. Now I'm going to work out what I'm going to put in these last pen holder, and this is where I'm going to first work on the design of the few laying down on the edge of the paper, or the desk, I guess. And see what I'm saying? Look, I can't even fit it in. I have to rip the bottom off to fit it in, and then still I add it. I add more. And it's just like, I was in the mood of, I've got them there, I've cut them, I've painted them, I've got to put them in. So I'm working on these detailed pencils, and then I'm going to put them in different lengths and different heights, just for a bit of interest. I know pencils often and pens aren't often different heights when you got the same kind of ones together, but in terms of the design on a layout, I would prefer to have that pops of interest. So when I was editing this video, I thought, oh, this is one of those lovely little moments where I think I need to scrap lift myself as well. So I already have scrap lifted myself in a way, because my project last week was an art journal using these pens and just in a different format, and then I've scrap lifted it this week to make a 12 by 12 layout. But I really think I want to do it again. I like it too much. It just needs to be, I think, done again. So I'm adding these calligraphy pens, and hopefully you guys like it and feel inspired to do it yourself. It didn't take long to draw them and cut them out. I was just watching something at my scrap desk. I didn't even move to the couch where I would probably normally fussy cut and be a bit more comfortable. It was quite quick. So look, I found the paintbrushes again. So I'm going to add some of these smaller ones. I think my mind was like, oh, I haven't got any, many of these small ones. I need it on there to make it look like I use different paintbrushes, not just, house painting paintbrushes, because those other ones were pretty big paintbrushes. See, even here, I need just stop. Less is more. Anyway, I think I'm nearly finished with the placing of these paintbrushes and pencils, and here's where I've got all these smudges. So I do try to wipe it off, and then I like the way it smudges in, and then I thought, it's paint. Smudge it in and make it look like you're being creative, like it's my desk that is all smudged with paint here, there, and everywhere, and make it look really nice. So just tidying off a bit of the paint in the background, and then I'm going to work on the clusters around my photos and finishing off this page. So I've stuck down the photo, and I found this clock, and I was thinking scrappy time, so on it goes to start the layers. And you really can't tell that it's a clock as such at the end, because you cover up bits and pieces, but that's okay. So I'm just going through some of the words. I figured it needs some words to start with. I would focus on some phrases that had the right meaning for the project. Because we have so many, I just pulled them all out and then roughly went through them. Grabbed out about 4 or 5. I got that banner here, and I thought that was really nice, and that's where leads me up to have a cluster up that top right hand corner, and that way it's not just bare. I've got this one here that I add staples to the edge, and I've said a few times, if you want to add staples to things but you're not too sure if your staple is going to reach or be the right angle, then go through and staple it before you add it to the paper. Add in a butterfly, because butterflies are just cute and something I use a lot in my layouts. And it's just a nice little pop of dimension as well, because curl up the leaves. So I found these vases. I really like these vases and wondered when I could use them. So I'm going to stick one up the top there, but I'm not too sure. I put 2 up there for now. I'm just going to get a few more items and finish it off. I did pull those puffy stickers out because I know I'm going to want to add puffy stickers. Just going to add some flowers here up the top to finish off this cluster. Just auditioning them before I actually glue them down, which sometimes I do. Other times I'm like, yep, I know that goes there, and we'll just glue it straight away. But yeah, there's not too much more to this layout, which is ideal because it's already hectic with the paint all over the pens and the paintbrushes. But I do need a little bit of interest to make your eye go around the page. Now, my little, when I was like, oh, I should do some pen holders, I was thinking it's a bit like Elsie Robson, who makes a lot of paper piecing artwork and designs and layouts. That kind of was my little bit of an inspiration, but also Virginia. So it's sort of like the pen holders and the paintbrushes are a cut file, and the rest needs to be the photo and the pops of embellishments everywhere. So those were my two two designers that came to my head when I was making this layout. So I'm just going to add my journal at the top, so you can see I add a label sticker and that banner, but also that yellow vase, and I moved it with my hand, but I do fix it up. That's the good thing about wet glue. I guess the bad thing about wet glue is if you touch it while it's dry and it moves, but the other thing is that you can move it back. So add another phrase up there just to complete that, and some hearts, because you could always put hearts anywhere, hearts and stars, they can go on a few things. So adding some here, just keeping the colour bright, and I just smudged that purple a little, so I just made it look like the purple was painting there. And there's not much more to it. I do put this happy here, and I thought, well, that could be my title. And I'm going to just have a play with these little flowers and leaves just to see if I've got enough going on in this cluster to finish it off. And then, it's puffy stickers, so pretty much I'm going to go through them and then back again through them and through them again to make sure that I've got enough puffy stickers on there, because I don't want to miss out on them. And here's where I thought, I really need a bigger title. I wonder if those stickers have the word happy or something that would work. They have the word happy, which works for me, and I try and make it work, so I put it on, and then I do just move it over a little to the left so that the Y is on the pen holders a bit more than it is there, and that is my title. So I'm just going to build a little bit of a cluster around the title, just so that it's not I know it's sitting on the paintbrushes and the pen, so it's not by itself, but it just needs a little something to it to make sure that it's complete. I do wonder if the happy puffy sticker could go on there, but that's not what happens. I add a couple of phrases down the bottom and this cute little bird who I put there for the moment, but I do move to the perfect spot in a moment. Now, Oliver wants to say hello, I'm assuming?
Kind of. Just I was wondering if you have a little star stencil.
Star stencil. If I do, left of my desk to the top.
Okay, thanks.
Patrick, are you here because you want to say hello? Oh, you're just looking. Okay. Sorry, I just had two little birds hovering over my shoulder, and I wasn't sure if they were wanting to say hello or not. So I'm just going to finish it off with a doodly border. And like I say a few times, if you do it in 2 or more lines, it doesn't matter that you don't do it straight, because it makes it look like you've purposely done it that way. And here is the finished product. So check out the close-ups, and I hope you feel inspired to make something along the same lines as yourself, just wiping off some of the paint. And hope you are enjoying the March kits. Oh yes, here is where I find the perfect spot for the bird. There he goes. Okay, I'll catch you next week. Have a great day. Bye.